Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to episode 7 of the RBNY UK podcast. I am joined by Luke, as per usual.
Good evening.
Good evening, Luke.
Good evening.
You all right?
Welcome back. Yeah, welcome back. Back to Pudding. Been a while, had a break.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in ages.
No, not properly. Not for more than 5 minutes.
Not for more than 5 minutes anyway.
Absolutely. We are incredibly lucky today to be joined by Anthony Merced. Anthony, rather than me absolutely butchering everything, can you introduce yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. I am the editor-in-chief of Red Bull News Network, one of the many sites that cover the New York Red Bulls, Major League Soccer, USL, New York Red Bulls 2 in particular. We also do some work for like on Salzburg and Leipzig as well, where we can follow them over here.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, hasn't it? Really.
Yeah. We've got so much to talk about.
Oh my goodness, there's so much to talk about. You guys are unlucky over there because you don't get any of the USL games. So we've had 3 games to watch over the past few weeks.
I've been told. I was talking to Eric. I'm going to butcher your surname here. I'm so sorry. Eric Friedland. Freelander.
Mm-hmm.
That was close. I got it close. They're quite good for my pronunciations.
Yeah.
And he was saying to me, we should better get it on YouTube, but I've not tried it. Apparently, we can get it on YouTube, but I'll be honest. A, ridiculous late at night, and B, given how bad they are at the moment, I think I'd rather not watch them. But we're getting to the Red Bull 2s and all a lot of troubles later on.
Oh,
we should get say. And you might notice there's an elephant in the room. One, he's not here. He's not here because he had his COVID vaccine today. And he's feeling a little, not under the weather, but tired. So he's going to bed.
So that's 2 out of 3 RBNY UK members that are fully vaccinated and one that's...
Yeah, I've got mine.
Waiting to go.
No, I've got mine booked in. Booked in today. So I've got 3 out of 3. See you soon, America.
I was going to say, we're nearly there.
Yeah.
Keep going. Come on. Fantastic. So these past couple of weeks have been full of all sorts, really. I think it's best to start off with outgoings. Obviously, this week has seen Brian White and his new beautiful beard leave New Jersey and head to Vancouver for £400,000 in GAM. Anthony, do you want to add any more?
So it was I believed at the time, and we'll talk about this when it comes to Fabio, that the move was being done to make room for a potential purchase of Fabio to fully bring him into the team with his loan expiring. That might still be the case. For those that don't know, MLS has very weird roster rules. There is a salary cap. It is quite low, and you can get around that with these mechanisms. They're general allocation money, targeted allocation money. Essentially it's fake money is what you're playing with to be able to expand the salary cap any which way. And so they got quite a good deal for Brian White out of it to be able to get as much as they did to get the wiggle room to either keep Fabio or use that money to strengthen the team, specifically in the defensive midfield spot and maybe in the center back position.
Yes, I think my favorite ever summary for MLS money is by Fernando. He called it monopoly money. Or Garabacks. I think they're my favourite things ever heard them called. But yeah, I really like Brian White. He was actually my favourite Red Bull player on its current roster. So I haven't got around it, but I do actually need to change the Bite Me on our website. It currently says my favourite current player is Brian White. So I need to change that. I don't know who to. I don't know how any of these played yet. So, but yeah, I think he wasn't going to play. He wasn't going to get ahead of Fabio or Kamara. He's not going to play together. So he's not really got off the bench. So it made sense for him to go, especially for $400K. But we did make a joke. Obviously going to Vancouver. Vancouver famously never ever plays itself in TV shows. It's always pretending to be New York. So it's almost like he's never left. So even when he's in Vancouver, he's still really been playing in New York.
Well, Brian White has added 15 goals and 51 appearances in his Red Bulls career so far. I think he started out as a sort of rotation option and managed to find himself almost at the front of the picks for the striker role last season. What do you think? This is a big loss for us, Anthony, or not?
With being as kind as I can be to Brian, because he was a really great guy, I don't think it is that much of a loss. I think that Thelwell had brought in players that were meant to essentially replace him. He had a shot last year. I know it was a COVID year and there was the weird Orlando tournament and everything, but he had his shot to get into that position and grab it, that starting striker position, something that Bradley Ray Phillips did. When he got that position in 2014, he never let it go. And last year was the first year without him. And Brian White, I mean, he was decent. I don't want to say he was bad, but they needed a guy to be a finisher, a goal poacher, and he just was not that.
No, I think that's beside this. Like, a lot of people go. So I've been quite critical of Tom Barlow in his podcast. He's not one of my favourite players, but a lot of people go, why did you get rid of Tom Barlow? But Tom Barlow is not nowhere near as much money as Brian White. So if you want to get rid of a cap space, it's obvious choice to keep Tom Barlow as he's probably a third choice, fourth choice striker now. So on very little money. Tom Barlow is essentially Conor Laird of yesteryear. So basically on cheap money and is a rotation option. And Brian White was on far more money than Tom Barlow.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't see Barlow being long for this team either. I don't think he'll necessarily be traded. But so the other thing that is of note, when you sign a contract, this is very, very important to understand when it comes to players moving around in MLS. When you sign you don't actually sign with the New York Red Bulls. You sign with Major League Soccer, and the rights are then given to whatever team you're in. So until I can't remember the amount of years, I believe it's 6 years of actively playing in the league, he cannot be a free agent even if his contract expires. So he can get picked up by another team within MLS, or they can just cut him and MLS can say, hey, go do whatever you want to do. But until that happens, I think he's going to be lingering around for quite a bit. Could they cut him at the end of the year? Yeah, I hate saying this about these guys, but they probably will. Unless there's a dramatic turnaround, which right now, based on how he played in the USL, doesn't look to be happening.
You're going to be very popular when you go back into the locker room, aren't you, Anthony?
Oh,
I've never been popular there.
Considering the options we have up top, then obviously Klimala, Fabio, obviously Cameron Harper, Danny Royer, Tom Barlow. Who would you say? What would you say sort of the pecking order is of strikers at the club at the minute?
If they're going to play with the diamond formation and have two strikers, it's going to be Klimala and Fabio, especially now that Fabio is showing an amazing ability to set up other players. Klimala appears to be the poacher, the guy who's always going to look to goal. Fabio has an amazing ability to look around him and find open players. He did that in one of the Caden Clark goals earlier this year. He just knows where to be, knows where to put the ball. So putting them together seems to be the perfect option. And then coming off the bench, I think we're going to see eventually Danny Royer be that second striker off the bench who constantly replaces one or the other, mainly because he can do a lot of what Fabio can do. Not as good, obviously, if not, he'd be starting. And then the diamond itself would open up to a lot more midfield players. I think those are going to be the main options. And when Below works back into it, he may even become an option as well.
It's quite hard to see. So when we signed Cameron Harper, we were quite excited. Like, we thought he's Scottish, you know, no, he's American, but he was from Celtic. A lot of our friends in Celtic were saying he's not a bad little young, he's got some promise. Came on with New England. He got pulled off by a few, not a few, but got pulled off by Struber after coming on, and just never really looked like he's at MLS level yet.
Well,
like,
he's only 19, so I don't want to be too. So in Europe, being 19 means you got to play right now. Like, you guys have got some 19-year-olds who play like they're 25-year-olds. I mean, Marcus Rashford and all these kinds of people who are amazing. In the United States, a lot of these players won't hit their prime until 25, 26, 27. So being 19 years old, I look at them and I go, any minutes he gets this season, that's all extra. So he really needs to sit under the learning tree, learn his stuff. And if they really do think that he's going to be a major part of this team, we'll see him slowly get more minutes in the first team probably next season.
Well, Luke likes to make big, bold decisions on players without actually watching them play very much. So I
never
read too much into that.
I never said I never said he did. I did think he'd make it. I just said the fact that still would put him off. He's not locked there yet. Admittedly, he's only 19. I think he needs to play a bit with the USL team.
Well, he also got pulled off because of the red card to Reyes. To be honest, somebody needed to get pulled out, and he is not a player that is defensive minded. So they pulled him off mainly for that reason.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's in the same vein as I watched the Smurfs play somebody a couple of weeks ago.
I thought you were going to say. I thought you watched the Smurfs, and I thought, why were you watching the Smurfs?
No. Well, that's a bit of a random thing to start talking about. No. I watched them, and they threw on their new young DP, and he came off within minutes of coming on due to a red card. It's all the same, really. Out of interest, Anthony, with Cameron Harper, I read something. This was quite a while ago now, and I've never had it confirmed or denied. Did Cameron Harper sign with sort of the understanding that he was going to get a lot of minutes? I read something into that, or is that just gossip?
So when media day happened before the start of the season, there were a lot of questions directed at him as to why are you coming here, and as opposed to staying in Europe and being part of the rebuild in Celtic, which is currently happening. And he did very much say that he felt like this was an opportunity to make his mark, which to me sounded like he thinks he's going to play. I can't say that he was guaranteed time. I don't know if that was the case, but he definitely hasn't seen as much time as I thought he would coming up to this point. I think that has to do with the diamond formation that Struber has played. It's not a wide formation, so a lot of times you're seeing guys on the wing and in the wing of the diamond, or quote unquote the wing, being guys like Christian Cáceres and Caden Clark, which is they're not playing to be a wide team, to play the ball on the touchline. So Cameron Harper is kind of strategically finding himself on the outside until late in games when they might put him in. Now that might change if Fabio starts scoring goals and they feel like they've got the midfield defense structurally down. They might decide they want to play wider, and Cameron Harper definitely fits into that mold, and we may see more minutes of him. I don't think that's going to happen this year with Aaron Long being out for pretty much the entire year at the very least. I think that they're going to be looking for options to make sure they're as defensively solid as possible. So we might not see much of that wide play from Harper in MLS this year.
Yeah, talking of Aaron Long and his unfortunate injury, I just wanted to ask you on a sort of more professional level, what do you think Aaron Long's chances are now of potentially sort of getting that big move that he's been after for so many years, despite the injury? So
he's got 2 strikes on him already. One is his age, and the other is the fact that he's American. And that automatically comes with a lot of beliefs from teams in Europe. I think that if the move was going to happen, it would have happened last year when he wanted it to. I know there were teams, I don't think it was Fulham, I believe it was Burnley, or one of those teams were
Reading was one of them in the Championship.
Yeah. I was kind of happy he didn't make that move, because I don't think that I think it would have been better if he stood here than playing in the Championship. I think that the Championship and MLS are kind of on similar levels when it comes to
100% agreed. I've watched a lot of Championship football.
Yeah,
and you disappear. Yeah, and you disappear from the conversation of the national team potentially. I know that that's not been the case with Tim Ream, but Tim Ream is Teflon. For some reason, Tim Ream can go down to League One and still get called up for some reason. But yeah, so I was kind of happy that move didn't happen. If he comes back next year and he's the bionic man, look, one thing that's good for him, he's not a striker. He's got essentially the exact injury Thierry Henry had. And Thierry Henry never really recovered. He had to change his game completely. You don't necessarily need to do that when you're a defender, because you don't run as much, you don't pivot quite as much, and he wasn't the playmaking kind of defender that got the ball out of the back. He was very much he was tall, he caught headers, things like that. So I think he can come back and be just as good. The question is going to be whether or not that move is going to be to Red Bull's benefit for the price you're going to have pushing 30.
Absolutely. No, I do understand that. Yeah, it was some strange links last year. We had Reading one minute, and then it was Liverpool the next, and it seemed so polar opposite from one to the other. Obviously, Liverpool ended up signing Davis from Preston to sit in their reserves instead.
Never played, did he? Like,
no.
I signed him for a bit of money as well. I gave him like a 4-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
good for him.
Yeah, good for him. He's gonna get paid loads of money.
He got a championship ring. I mean, like
yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah.
Moving on though, obviously we mentioned it slightly, but Fabio's loan has been extended, and there is a clause in it that means it can become permanent at the end of the season. Do you know any more about the sort of financial aspects surrounding that deal?
So nothing in regards to how much he's going to cost when the season is over. I think that notoriously Red Bull are very stingy when it comes to transfer fees. So if they come back and say, hey, he's $12 million, they're probably going to let him walk unless they really, really believe that there's a sell on for him where they can get more than that. That's very important to the Red Bull system right now. They don't want to spend so much that moving him becomes harder. So it's buy low, sell high. So if they can get him for a certain amount, then yeah, they'll make it happen. I think Fabio appears and sounds like he really wants to stay, so he's going to have a lot of clout over that. And I think that the team that he's coming from doesn't really need him at the moment. So I think all signs point to him staying as long as he starts to produce goals in the next few months.
Do you feel? Go on, Luke.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it will be taken out. I think option will be taken out. The way they sort of said it in the when I put the tweet about the renewal, that is an option there. It might very similar to when we had Marilla on loan. It's very, very similar. I feel like they can see it's been he's here for 2-3 years, then maybe we're selling him off to Europe. This feels like that sort of deal, but he's not scored yet. No, he leads the league in assists, so he did. I know he doesn't anymore, but he did. But he's still not scored a goal. And for a striker, you can't need to score a goal. You can assist. But I was listening to Metro Fan TV earlier, and I was saying how funny would it be if he got like 30 assists, broke the MLS record, 20 assists, but didn't score a goal. That would be so Metro.
Yeah.
So Metro.
If he had that many assists, you still keep him. If he's gonna go crazy like that, I mean, that no one's done that on the team since Sasha Kljestan.
Yeah.
So it's it would be amazing. Now the team would have to play a completely different style. I think at that point you'd have to go back to the 4-2-3-1 that this team is, that majority Red Bull teams have worked really well in. But yeah, he could really make that happen. And just for context too of the kind of transfer fees that have been paid, Red Bull's paid Huracan $6 million for Kaku.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to go above that number very often. So either Fabio is going to be amazing and really wow them to the point that they can spend that kind of money, or they're going to want to keep that to around the $4 to $5 million range, hoping that they can move him for 10 to 12 to a team in Europe, to a Villarreal or something like that, a smaller Spanish team. I always say that because it tends to be where Brazilians go, so that they can make a move.
That Kaku one worked out so well as well, didn't it? Well, that works. Where is he now? Where is he?
He's Al Tarawi, I think.
Taruri. I know there's lots of O's in it or something.
I mean, and let's be honest. Let's put it on how it is on the tin. He's gone there for all the money. Let's put it out there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not ashamed with that. Like, it's a short career. You got your long-term security fund to think of, but that league is pony. Like, isn't he top goal scorer? He's basically doing bloody brilliantly.
He's got a lot of goals, hasn't he?
If he wasn't, I would be quite concerned.
He's dominant. He's dominating over there.
But he was going to do that until Chris Almond took over. He was looking to beat the 20 goals in his first season until Chris Almond took over. So
he
what could
played
have
very
been?
well for Paraguay the other day as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Caught that. Do we think that that he's? I mean, obviously it's not been sorted out yet, but the money that we will inevitably be owed. Do you think that performances could end up changing what we're going to get? I mean, I'm not expecting much, but
I think they'll actually get a few million.
They're going to want a lot more than a few million. They're going to want to get what they would have asked for. I think that they're going to get close to what they got him for.
Yeah.
So I would expect somewhere 3.5 to 4 million at the very least to be what they get in exchange. The other thing of note, and this is really funny when it comes to transfers in MLS, the money does not go completely to the team. Only a percentage does. The rest of it goes to the league.
It's funny because he basically ignored what FIFA said, didn't he? He basically ignored that and kept playing. And
yeah,
the league has actually now put a court order in to New York federal judge to get him to come back. Obviously, he's not going to come back. He's not coming back to play. We all know that's just a trick to try and get money out of them. We all know that. Not all it is. But imagine if he come back here, that would be another Metro moment. Like nothing was some Metro moment than him coming back here to play. And know what a funny thing is? He probably did a Scott Scarlett wins the cup or something mad like that. Not how it really work in Metro land. Like
or he would be like Rafa Marquez and do something incredibly dumb right at the moment that we need him to be smart and cost us a chance at going to MLS Cup.
Probably.
He'd go and kick another ball into the fans, wouldn't he? That's what he'd do. And go and upset somebody else.
Probably.
I mean, I'm a Wolves fan. I'm from Wolverhampton. I've grown up. I've been a season ticket holder for 15 years. Just sort of touching on the Fabio did a bit more. I would expect, obviously, MLS rules change the situation a little bit, but I would expect from what I've seen from Thelwell over the years for this to be completed properly. Obviously, we've had Jota, we've had Vinagre, we've had Jimenez at Wolves, all coming on sort of short-term loan deals, have those extended, and then ended up making them permanent at the end of the year. It's how he likes to operate. It's the sort of business he likes to make. So I would be quite shocked if we don't make that permanent.
Yeah.
It would be very shocking if he didn't. If not, then we're going to see another very good player come through. Of the same kind of probably South American. He seems to have really good scouting network down there, and I think that's really where you can pluck some of the best players.
Absolutely. Well, okay, we're going to nip off for a minute or so, so we can sort of refresh our video. We'll be back in a moment with some more news and views.
Yes. So
we are. Right, we are back after a very, very short gap in time. The joys of Zoom calls that don't allow extended videos. Looking next, really, at the moment, we've got lots happening in the world of international football. Also over in Europe, are sort of enthralled daily by loads of European games.
It's coming home.
I'll be honest.
It's coming home.
It's definitely coming home. We can but dream. But no, that's what we have at the minute. And we're really into Euro 2020/2021 at the minute. But over the other side, we've obviously got the Copa America happening. Anthony, there's been a lot of sort of COVID-based controversy going on over there, which sort of affects Christian Cáceres. Can you go into that in a bit more detail?
Yeah, there's been a number of players that have tested positive for COVID on the Venezuelan national team. They did play, and Cáceres Jr. did start in their first game at Copa America in Brazil. For those who don't know, there's been a huge amount of controversy around Copa America to begin with. First off, it was originally Colombia backed out of being a host nation at one point, and then due to COVID-19 and a lot of positive tests in Argentina. It got moved again, except it got moved to a place that arguably is just as bad or worse than Argentina, Brazil. And the Brazilian national team protested, said they wouldn't play. They eventually did play. And now we're finding out that the Venezuelan national team had quite a number of COVID cases. We were just speaking with Gerhard Struber right before this. It was a media call, and he was asked about it. And he did, in a roundabout way, say that Cáceres Jr. told him that he did not have COVID. So that's, if we can interpret what he said about the situation that way. So that's good to know. But it does mean that more than likely he's going to have to quarantine upon coming back from Copa America, depending on how far they make it. That means we're not going to see him for quite some time on a Red Bull field.
Which is very frustrating due to a very, very good sort of start to the season from him. I don't know whether you're allowed to answer this question, but I thought I'd ask it anyway. What's the sort of COVID situation like at Newark Red Bulls at the minute? I mean, I've not heard anything in terms of issues, but has there been any concerns?
No, and part of that is due to the fact that New York and New Jersey are doing quite well at the moment. Relatively high vaccination rates when compared to other states. So they've been, MLS in general has probably been the best league, at least of all the American sports leagues, has been one of the best in handling COVID. Early on, when they started training again, they were very particular about being separated from everyone. The team itself has taken it very seriously, as have all the players. So there's not a major concern, but they definitely have spoken about being aware that it could be an issue. So they are going to make the players do the proper quarantine. We saw Patrick Klimala had to do it, and I think that's going to continue probably until the end of this season.
Quite easily, I think I would imagine.
No. And what just more on a more sort of personal level, what's life like over in Jersey at the minute, and New York with COVID? Obviously things for us are starting to ease more so, but then we've had a lovely meeting with Boris a couple of days ago in which he said that we've now got to wait another month for the world to open, for the country to open up a bit more.
Technically though, this is the bizarre thing. We can go abroad now. We can go abroad. We won't go abroad.
That doesn't make any sense.
But we can't, it's not safe for us to open the country anymore. We can go abroad. We can't go to America jet shirt, but my travel agent keeps telling me, I basically have a weekly email from her. It's every week she goes, we're getting a bit closer. It's opening up soon. It's in talks. And apparently Johnson and Biden at the G7 had to talk about it. And both were very keen to open the borders again. Because it's seen as one of the most safest places to go at the moment for Brits, because both countries got such high volume of vaccines given.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about that, and this is the weird thing about New York versus America, is that everybody wants to come here. So what ends up happening is we are a microcosm for everything that's happening around the world. So for instance, when COVID really hit hard, it hit us incredibly hard at first. I mean, it was this time, maybe not this exact time last year, but the spring of last year was incredibly traumatic. Like it was New York had never shut down like that. Not even after 9/11, New York had never shut down like that. We were back up and doing as much as we could the next day. So the fact that this shut everything down as long as it did was very different. The thing about now that's really weird, me and my family have been vaccinated for a few months now, but the weirdness is how quickly everybody just wants to yank the Band-Aid off. Like they don't want to do a slow pull. They just want to yank the whole thing off and say, well, guess you guys have to deal with whatever happens. And whatever happens is New York is a tourist haven and everybody that from everywhere else is going to come here. So we're going to be the petri dish of how travel is going to work again. And that's it's the way that it is. And if you're from New York, you understand that it's one of those New York things. You kind of put your chin up and go forward with it. We think about it, but it is what it is. And we know that that's how New York survives. So we'll keep moving along.
It's quite, you say that about New York and down. London's the same. Like London's never quiet. Like even after later than 11, we had the 7/7 train bombings in 2005. Like even then, like London is not a place. It's like really a British sort of way you go about it. You don't stop doing stuff. You don't let people stop you doing stuff. You get on with your life. You keep going. It's the way people sort of built. And it's like London's sort of back to normal stats now because a lot of our stuff is open again. Theatres are not quite open, but I think they're going to be open soon. I'm not quite understand what happened with that, but it's complicated. But
and we're going to 100% capacity in our sports venues very, very soon. I think the next so the good thing about over the summer there are no indoor sports being played. So that's a good thing. Basketball season is over. The Knicks unfortunately lost in the playoffs. Hockey, the Rangers didn't make the playoffs, and those are the only two indoors. Well, the New York Islanders, but they're not really in New York City. They're kind of Long Island. That's a long story about Long Island. But the for the Red Bulls are an outdoor venue, so outdoor venues are a little bit easier, a little bit nicer in regard when it comes to bringing everybody back together. Baseball the same way. The Yankees and Mets are looking to open up full capacity and have vaccinated sections, although there's really nothing in place to talk about how you assure that the person you're sitting next to is actually vaccinated. But everybody's ignoring that conversation. So it's just like, I don't know, the trust system. But
that's something like obviously me, Scott, and Mike, we've got a lot of friends, especially Richard. I grow my network of Red Bull fans dramatically. Like, I didn't know you before the start of this season. No, I do. Like, because of it, we've grown our network hugely. And a lot of people I talk to about how, like, obviously Red Bull Arena is not full capacity, but a lot more fans in it now. Like, we've not gone past. Is it 8,000 at the moment, Scott? 8,000, I think.
Yeah.
8,000 to the Euros.
Or short. It was now. There's 22,000.
22,000. I think that's 90,000 stadium. And I think how many can you lie at Red Bull Arena? I think it's
25 when they decide not to tarp off certain.
Yes, I'm not doing that anymore though. Apparently, Mark Fitzgibbon put on Twitter, the tarps are not coming back. Apparently, but technically,
we'll see when we're at 100% capacity and they cancel half the building.
to be technical though, you don't have to tarp a section off. Don't sell the seats. To be technical, you don't have to tarp a section off. We don't sell the seats. That works when we initially still get the me fans. Let's shut the stand, but maybe that's different over here. But we shall see. Like, it's not like COVID is going to be for a while yet. Anyway, it's not going to go overnight. Unfortunately, COVID will be a while. It will be different what we're living for quite a while yet. And I think the days of people right next year at football stadiums is probably a few years away yet. Right, if I'm being honest.
I don't know. I mean, I think in New York, I would honestly say that probably by the middle of this summer, everything's going to be 100% in New York. Yeah. They're going to open everything up because they want to. And that's not trying to make a political statement or anything. Like, it's the vibe that is coming from here, from our politicians, from everybody and even from the people who, for rightly or wrongly, they want things to go back to normal and they're willing to take the risks, and it is what it is. But I think we're going to be seeing full stadiums in a lot of places. We're already seeing full stadiums in Texas. I don't know if you guys are UFC fans, but they're packing stadiums or buildings for everything. Boxing fights are having like 30 to 40,000, people. I think that the July 24th fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, I think, is already sold out. So it's I'll be watching on pay-per-view, rooting for Deontay Wilder.
I'll be honest. As long as I can get a flight to New York by June, in full stadium, so be it. I'll be there. Like, I can't wait to see this team again. It feels so long since I've seen this team. Like, it was so long. I've got so many places I want to go in America. So many teams.
Hopefully the empanada stand will be open for you.
Hopefully.
I've had an absolute nightmare. I literally had plane tickets pre-booked to come over last August for the Hudson River Derby on August the 22nd, I think it was. And then the world decides to implode, and that ruined that one for me.
To be fair though, when we go to York next, the plan is for that sort to go together. You wouldn't want to do that, would you? So
Yeah.
look at it get positive spin. Now we're all going to go together. I get to meet Laura, your missus, which I'm really excited about. She's awesome. Until we're going to New York together.
You know what? She doesn't tend to listen to these podcasts, but I'm going to get her to listen to this one now.
Yeah. Go on then, get her to listen to. I already got her on Facebook.
Oh no, she said the other day. Right, we are diverging. Let's start talking about my missus and let's start talking about football. Right, the injury situation at the minute over Ballerina most recently was sort of affected by Frankie Myers' knock against Orlando. Can you shed any more light on how long he's going to be out for? And looking toward obviously Flo Below, Yuba Diarra, not so much Aaron Long, because I'm pretty sure we're all aware of how long that one's going to be.
Yeah, Amaya was available to the media today, and while they didn't answer exactly, it appeared like he's going to feature on Friday. So I think that whatever the injury was, he's back and he's fine, at the very least off the bench. So I don't think there's going to be much of a delay any further with getting him back onto the field. Diarra, I would not be surprised if we do not see him anymore, whether it be injury or otherwise. I think that this is another one of those Salzburg loans that has not worked out. We saw it last year with Samuel Tete.
Who was the one we had years ago? He got sent
Frederick
off.
You talking about Frederick Goldbranson?
He got sent off on the playoff game. Was that from Salzburg or from Leipzig?
Not Tchaikovsky.
No, he got sent off for like one of the main games or playoff games.
Can't
remember who he was. He was the Jesse era, 2017, 16. I'm going to Google it.
Now
Right.
Yeah, well, while you do that, yeah, it's So the injury bug, I think, is coming back down from them, which is great. So we'll see how they do overall, but they're going to be pretty healthy going into this game.
How about Velo? What's the time scale on Velo now?
They have not talked about that, and that is something that I think is not great. He has had 2 very bad knee injuries, so there's a potential chance that we may not see him again, or if we do, we're going to see him in a far less mobile role than he is, because he appears his knees are just not holding up at this point.
Do you know who I was talking about? I don't blame you for getting him. Omar Damari. Do you remember him?
Oh my goodness, Omar Damari. Yes, I do remember him. Wow, that did not work well, did it?
No.
He got signed as a DP as well. I mean, he played like 5 games. Like, that's a peak Jesse March and Ali Curtis era. No wonder after Ali Curtis signed him, Jesse thought, you know what? I'm going to Red Bull Senior. I'm getting him the sack, and we get Dennis Hamlet as the sporting director.
I mean, it can't be any worse than Gonzalo Verón.
Oh.
And I had very high hopes for him.
A lot of people did.
Yes.
It didn't quite work out, did it? But
so many others.
Oh, the other injury I just remembered that was mentioned. It appears that Andrew Gutman is suffering from an injury as well. I don't know if it was training wise, but that was mentioned in the media call. There was no timetable in when he would return, but they did say that he was suffering an injury and that he won't be available for this coming game against Nashville.
Was that why Tolkien started the Orlando game as well? Did it happen back then, or was it more recent knock?
I think it was more recent than that. I think he had recovered and may have suffered another injury in training.
Tolkien had a cracking game. That's the obvious. Well,
he did. He played very well.
Played really, really well. So I'm not too worried if he starts another game. And he actually played his first game, and he that night he could have his prom, if I'm correct, or sometime long after that. Like
he did. He went to his prom, and that's one of the reasons why I can't wait to be back in the locker room to ask him about that horrendous tuxedo and shoe combination that he had in that picture.
Can you just imagine? I don't know. I don't know too much about it, but I don't know if he has a girlfriend. But can I just imagine everyone thinking, looking at him and thinking, that's John Tolkien. He just played in his first professional game. He really he had a good night that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would hope that he did.
Yeah, good night.
I think also Tyler Adams was flown in a helicopter from his graduation to a game, which I think you couldn't get more baller than that.
No, not really.
With MLS being as it is in the States and not being the sort of main sport, would you reckon that players like John Tolkien and Tyler Adams, without them, forgetting helicopters, would they be seen as sort of big people over in those sort of situations, or would it just not be considered?
Like as celebrities?
Yeah. Not a huge celebrity, but
No, I mean, this is the town that I'm fully convinced that this town makes soccer stars around the world look like regular people. Thierry Henry could walk the street and nobody recognized him. I mean, probably would have happened to Zlatan as well if he hadn't been so loud about it. So
Zlatan's a bit of a dick, let's be honest.
Of course he is.
Let's be honest.
That's his charm.
Well,
that he's a caricature of the worst person you could ever imagine without actually being the worst person you could ever imagine.
You probably won't have heard it, but he's like a spitting image dummy. Do you know what I mean? You remember spitting image, don't you?
Yeah, no, spitting image.
Yeah, it's like that. You got it in the States. Basically, a load of puppets parodies on like Boris Johnson, Joe Biden, basically taking the mick and like,
exaggerated times a thousand.
Yeah. And Zlatan's basically like one of those.
There's a fantastic athletic article that details all of the hijinks that Zlatan did while here in MLS, and it was amazing. There was Perry Kitchen, he called him Kevin for the entire time he was here. It's just fantastic stuff. That just it has to be read. It's amazing how ridiculous he was while here. Yeah. Thierry Henry also. I mean, Thierry Henry once bought a player a car, not knowing that he couldn't afford the payments on it.
I heard a fantastic story on BSI podcast with Dax was on there and Robles, I think it could have been Adams, who was talking about how Thierry flew Dax over to a game over in the UK. I can't see, this has been a while since I've heard this, and that's just crazy in itself.
Yeah, they all went together. I believe it was an FA Cup game for Arsenal. And they all went together and they were in a skybox and, Henry showed them the town essentially. Which was, they loved. He did that a few times for a few different players, which is really cool of him. I've heard that a lot of the big money players will do that to reach down to their lower MLS salary cohort.
We should also say that's because earns quite a bit as a footballer as well. Like not Zlatan level, but he's not on the basement bargain like some of these, like Tom Barlow earns 74,000 a year, something like that, which is for a footballer, that's peanuts. 74,000 a year.
I love looking at that list. I love looking at that list of how much players get paid and feeling great that I make more than them. But there's also a large group of players who make so much more than I do now that are way, way younger than I am.
So some players need better agents, I'm not going to lie. Some of the players on that salary list are like main players and are on not a lot of money, like Carl Duncan. He's on 62,000 a year, I think his guaranteed contract is.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Like, they need better agents.
Yeah. And there's no negotiation power because once you're in MLS, you're kind of in that system, and you can only really negotiate with it. It's happening right now with Josie Altidore. He can't really go to another team, so they're trying to find a way to get him out of the league entirely, and hopefully he goes to Tigres in Liga MX. I think he's just one tiny tangent. I think he is the best option right now for the U.S. men's national team as a striker because there are no options for that team right now. And I just think that Christian Pulisic is overrated.
We're getting a 5-year thing here. That won't please a lot of people.
I don't care.
I do try because I'm so into the league. I do try and keep my sort of knowledge of the men's national team of a certain level, but I'm nowhere near. Sort of talking about strikers for USMNT again, tangents. Daryl DK, where would you sort of see him in that conversation?
I don't know yet. It's really going to depend on how his Gold Cup is. He had one great game, one friendly against Costa Rica, but it's a friendly. One of the issues with American international soccer is that we don't have a Euros. We don't have any kind of tournament that we can look at and really say, hey, this is something where you can learn. It's why so many teams want to push American players out to Europe so they can get big game experience. Because the Gold Cup is fine, but unless you're playing against Mexico, which you're not going to do all the time, it's really hard to get consistent good competition. You guys, when England does their friendlies, you're playing against France, Croatia, maybe not France all the time, but Croatia, Russia, even the smaller ones are better than any team that we're going to play over here. So it's difficult to really assess what you have until you get to those big games, especially now that the Confederations Cup is gone.
Yeah.
What's the Gold Cup even worth anymore?
Yeah, you're all right.
I try and keep up with the men's national team quite a bit. I have got a men's national team shirt, men's national team shirt. It's quite old now. It's from, I think it was actually from the 17 Gold Cup. I know that because with Daffy Carter in the back, he jet set for a ball, and nice. I thought, I'm feeling very, very sad, but Daffy Carter up new red balls. I'm going to buy a shirt with his name in the back. That's in my wardrobe. I've worn it once, I think. I took it to New York. So I don't mind it. I quite like the men's national team, but I don't watch them and that because obviously the time zone are quite hard here. And I get my sleep's always buggered up on like Saturday night when we were playing Red Bulls. I can't afford to bugger up for another night. For when we not got Red Bull games, it's quite a nice
rough.
Break.
Yeah, it's rough for you guys because I mean, you guys try to watch that US Mexico game. It didn't start for us for me until 9 p.m. So I can't imagine for you what that would have been like. Yep. And it didn't end until after midnight for me.
Time zones.
I don't know.
Even watching MLS, it's kills.
Time zones mess everything up.
Like sometimes, when it was really nice, like the other day, Rolando came, saying it started at 6 p.m. my time, but I think this natural game kids are like 1 o'clock. For us, I think get also that's 9 o'clock kickoff. I think why do you play games at 9 o'clock? Like to me, that's just so weird.
So because the reason why it gets played that way is because where it's being played is actually 8 o'clock. Okay. So, for instance, like if you guys follow we have 4 different time zones in the United States.
Yeah.
So if depending on where you are, like for instance, if you're going to go out and you're going to play the LA Galaxy, I believe that game was a 3 p.m. game for us here in New York, but was a 1 p.m. game for them.
Yeah, it was super late here.
Had it been like, yeah. So my wife and I are very big baseball fans, and if we watch our teams play in the West Coast, those games don't start until 10:30 at night. and baseball games can go 3.5, 4 hours. So now, to be fair, nobody watches every baseball game in a season. There's 162 of them. So like, wow. It's not, nobody watches every single game. They literally play every single day for 6 months almost. So you don't watch every game. You tend to catch the highlights and you wait for your teams, but those 10 o'clock games are killers for us, and you get that a lot here when teams go out there. It's why East Coast teams don't make that trip anymore. The other thing about it too is the flight is brutal on the body. That's a 3.5 hour flight from New York to LA. So it's why you try to stay as local as possible. But even still, we're going to play in Miami. That's a 2-hour flight from New York to Miami. There's a lot that goes against their bodies that you don't really get in European football. You guys, and this is a knock that I will always make fun of. You guys complain when you have to take a flight from like London to Moscow. That's not even the full distance to Los Angeles.
It's quite amazing. Yeah. How you could drive. You can most places in the UK, if you drive for an hour, you'll be in a different you'll be in a different county. In most places, in America, you can drive for 4-5 hours and still be in the same state, and that is in itself it's mind blowing, really. Like,
so if you wanted to drive from New York City to Rochester, where the Rochester Rhinos are,
James Vardy.
Yes, Jamie Vardy now an owner, and that team now has no idea what league they're going to play in. So if you're going to drive to Rochester, New York,
Like 4.5 hours
from where I live, it's more than that. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's see.
I'll look quickly then.
Let's see. It is a 5.5 hour drive.
What I love about Jamie Vardy, I can just imagine him going to Rebecca, his wife. Yeah, we'll buy a Manhattan apartment. I drive down there, and someone will be telling him, "You realise it's a 5-hour journey, don't you?" What? I thought I was buying it in New York State. Like, and I'm gonna put a very bold claim here. Rochester could be the next MLS, one of the next MLS expansions. It's a bold claim.
Rochester?
Yeah, I think so. Especially now, Jamie Vardy is a huge figure.
It will never happen. It will never happen for the Rochester Rhinos. There's a long story about how Rochester was supposed to be an MLS expansion team in the year 2000, and everything fell apart. The town of Rochester hates that team. They want them to die. They want them to go away.
To be fair,
it's
probably a good thing they didn't join MLS in 2000, because we all know what happened in 2002 with Miami fusing and who else was it? Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay Mutiny. Yep, Tampa Bay Mutiny.
It was also a delicious bit of what I love with the peak MLS, where when the Fusion play is now where Inter Miami play at the moment, if I'm correct. But we've been rebuilt.
Yes. It is the same field. Yeah, it is also where the Fort Lauderdale Strikers of the NASL used to play. It's the same field. And Tampa Bay now has the Tampa Bay Rowdies in the USL Championship.
Led by former Wolves central defender Neil Collins. Just another bit of Wolves.
And formerly captained by Joe Cole.
Absolutely. Right. So that was a wonderful tangent. I enjoyed that very much. We do like these here. Obviously, coming up on Friday is the next MLS game of the season against Nashville. I think most importantly, team news. Obviously, we've mentioned that Frankie Amaya should be back in some sort of capacity, and Andrew Gutman's not going to be around. We know that Flo Velo, Yves Diarra, and Aaron Long aren't around either. But what's the sort of scoop on what the defensive situation is going into this game?
I think we're going to see some of Andres Reyes again now that his suspension is over. So I would expect to see a back line of him, potentially Amro Tarek, and then or Tom Edwards potentially as a center back option with Duncan and maybe Tolkien again out wide. I think he gets another run out there. I think the real question is going to be what happens in that midfield. Obviously, Sean Davis will play a part, and so will Caden Clark. The question is, after the debacle that was the Red Bull 2 game, whether or not Drew Yearwood gets run out there at all is going to be very interesting. Or do they go to any of the number of different options? Do we get see Cameron Harper a little bit more in as a midfielder? We'll see. I think Drew Yearwood is more than likely going to get seen out there.
That's an interesting conversation in itself. Like last year, obviously, I don't think you can really put a lot on last year's performances due to the world situation. But obviously, Drew Yearwood coming in as a designated player, he's quite a, it's a big thing. Obviously, that's been changed now. He hasn't necessarily fulfilled the potential that we'd have hoped, but I feel like whenever I've seen him play, he's always looked very strong. What do you think his situation is sort of more long term?
I think there's going to be a lot of patience with him because they've invested quite a bit. I think they see him as a big deal. So he also technically falls under a different category of designated player. He's what's called a young designated player. And more MLS weirdness. He doesn't hit the salary cap anywhere near as hard as a regular designated player. So you can have 3 designated players and a young designated player. It's meant as a way for the league to keep bringing in young players and not give the money to, aging stars like Gonzalo Higuain, who felt like he can play the game while smoking a cigarette.
To be fair though, props of him to admitting it. A lot of people will admit it.
Yeah, he also compared the league to Serie A, which I thought was quite complimentary. Or is that an insult to Serie A? I'm not sure. But I think that Yearwood is going to play a big part in this team. I think they want him to. Struber speaks very highly of him, so I think we're gonna see him see more minutes as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, I think so. But we're gonna take another break now because we're running out of time again. I've still got so much to talk about. So enjoy this message. I don't know what message is going to play, but I'm sure when you will find something. So enjoy this little message while we take a little break. See you in a few minutes.
It looks like Italy just went up. Anyway.
All right. Ooh. Right. Welcome back. We had our break and we're here for part 3. We've got part 5 for you, but part 3 for us. So it's time to go. We talked a bit about Nashville. But Nashville are currently 7th in the East. Haven't lost a game yet, I don't think.
No, they are the last undefeated team after Red Bull defeated the other undefeated team, Orlando.
Yeah, I'll be honest, we watched that in the very last few minutes. When we got a second goal, me and Scott going, it'll be fine now. Got this hand control, and I got my comeback goal. And we were shitting ourselves. Funny because I was on a site. If you didn't know, Anthony does our match reports on RBNYUK.com. Got some great content on there, getting that plug in there. And I saw the draft routine. You go and the Red Bulls dominate. The Red Bull shout out the Atlanta City with dominant performance. And I noticed you changed it after they got a goal back to.
Oh, you were watching that?
I saw that. And I saw you change it to that, and I thought. I remember that. That 2-0 dominating.
There's a joke that some of us recap writers will do where we see who can get the recap out the fastest. So there's a lot of us that begin writing our recap at the 80th minute, knowing that we're playing with fire. Sometimes if the game is 1-0 or it's 0-0 or it's tied, I will begin in the 85th minute just to be sure. But there have been more than one occasions. One of my old editors, actually a guy you should have on this show, Dave Martinez, if you can. He once notoriously completed a recap at Yankee Stadium for a game, and and a goal came in the 95th minute, and he just sat there depressed because he knew he had to delete everything and start again.
It's funny. I don't mind saying that. When we first had a call with you, like coming on and doing some stuff with us, you said you're known as one of the fastest recap writers, and we were thinking an hour, half an hour, and an hour and a half. And the first one you did, I think, got to us was like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was like
crazy like that. And we were something like that, and we were in a group chat going. I know you said he was quick, but we didn't expect this quick. And we were.
That was the day as well. I'd been out with my missus and some friends and got very happily inebriated. So I was like, "Yes, this is the best thing ever."
We were on a call with him that evening, and he was lighting like cigarettes from his hob. And he was completely plastered, and it was a great night, and it was a huge step forward in our continent. I'll be forever grateful. But,
the only ones that I'm not that fast for are USL games because I'm just like, God, this is
it's awful to watch.
It's hard to watch. It is hard to watch.
We'll get into that a bit more. We've got lots of stuff to talk about with Red Bull too. But like Nashville are still undefeated. The last 2 games were the 1-0 win against Austin. The new boys still, and a 2-2 draw with Atlanta, who are doing a bit better this year, but we'll see if I continue to pick it up. I think the manager suits them a bit more, but Nashville are always a good team. Like they're probably one of my more favourite teams in MLS. Apart, obviously Red Bull, but they're probably one I can cope with. And obviously Nashville is an iconic city, really, with line dancing, Elvis. He's just iconic, and it was always going to get a sponsoring team eventually. It got one. And Dax McCarty's there now.
Yeah,
What are you
Dax
expecting? Yes. What are you expecting from the game on today?
I'm expecting Nashville to be very compact. Look, it's not a mystery that they don't have a lot of options on the attack. They've got, a few ex-Red Bull players. Alex Muriel as well is on that team. I'm not afraid of him as an attacker. I don't think that many people were afraid of him when he was in a Red Bull shirt either, but he's a motor. He's a horse. He will keep running with the ball, and he will outlast you in a game when you start to get tired. So I think that Red Bull needs to be very careful about the counterattack. One of the best things that Dax McCarty can do out of the back is spring a really good long ball up the field. He was amazing at it when he was in Red Bull, and it was something that when he left the team, they desperately needed. They did not have a connection point with Sasha Kljestan after his departure. And I think that he has been a great connection point for Nashville, connecting the defense and offense. Plus, I mean, they're stout defensively. They've got Walker Zimmerman, I believe, still on that team. Really, really great defensive player that defined LAFC. The minute he left, they were so susceptible to counterattacks. And it's a home game, so I think the Red Bull have the advantage. I think they're going to win, especially if they score early. But Nashville's has got more than a few surprises to make this a draw. I don't think they're going to win though.
What's your score prediction then?
I'm predicting this be a 3-1 for the Red Bulls.
Fair play, Luke. How about yourself?
Is it bad of me to say I want us to win, but I'd quite like them to get a goal. I'd quite like a goal to be scored by Dax McCarty. I don't quite like that. Like
he has scored 2 goals in the last 5 years.
No, one goal always sticks out to me was obviously with Red Redding. That was it was a great day as a Red Bull fan, even here in the UK, and it was amazing. And the game we played, I think we all started in 2013. I was in a nightmare. I wasn't properly. I was watching that game, and it was late at night. And even then, back then, I loved Dax McCarty, and I love that goal when he scored that last-minute winner. I think that
he is a feisty midfielder.
My love for Dax McCarty started there. But we're going to build with Dax in a bit. But I say it'd be I can see him scoring. But I think Red Bull are the best team. I'll be honest. I'll say if I can finish their chances, they could score 4 goals. I think it's quite easy. This striker is good enough to score goals. Like Fabio Clamara, even Caden Clark has got a wonderful touch. They can score a lot of goals, but he's going to take your chances. Not like Fabio could have scored. Fabio could have had 2 or 3 goals by now if he took his chances. So it just depends if we're closing or not. I think it could be 4-1 if they take their chances.
I'm going to go for another 2-1 win over an undefeated team. I think I still don't trust us entirely at the back, but I do think we've got enough up top to go and see the game out. So hopefully we'll get that, and we will be up at 1 o'clock in the morning on early hours of Saturday, tormenting ourselves.
Is it on Sky Sports or? Is it on Free Sports?
No, it's on Free Sports, isn't it?
Even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Free Sports, you actually get. You get Cully, you get the actual MLS commentators, and you also get Shep Metzen. So
absolutely.
You get the good one, you get Shep Metzen, but I don't know who does the MLS commentary for Sky Sports, but that is.
Well, it's going to be the England game earlier on Friday. So we've got the England versus Scotland game. So by the time I get to
1 o'clock
in the morning, I'm not going to be able to see properly. So hopefully, if we lose, at least I'm not going to be able to witness it in completely.
Well, so what you're basically saying, Scott, is Luke will be doing all the tweeting on Friday evening. That is basically what you're saying. Okay.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Although drunk tweets would be quite something to see.
I'll go with that. There we go.
That's fair. If we win the Scotland game, it might be. If we don't win it, we could. I don't think we're here at the end of it. But yeah.
Hoping for 2 victories that day.
Hoping 2 victories, yeah.
And a nice passage through into the next round of the Euros and another 3 points on the board.
Yeah, close to top of the East. Yes, top of the East.
We sort of mentioned it a few times there, but to go into with a bit more detail, obviously Dax McCarthy, former captain, will be returning with Nashville. What sort of impact do you believe he had on Red Bull, and then the impact that he's having over in Nashville now?
He's an incredibly stabilizing figure for the team. When he first joined them, well, obviously before he joined them, he'd had success. He was with with FC Dallas when they played in MLS Cup. I believe only was 2010, where they unfortunately lost to the Colorado Rapids in extra time. But ever since him joining the team, there were so many personalities at that time in 2012 and 2011 when he joined the team. Thierry Henry, eventually Tim Cahill, Rafa Marquez. He was a stabilizing force for a lot of the guys on the team, specifically the guys behind the designated players. And then when Jesse Marsch took over, it was very easy for him to step into that leadership role. And aside from his play on the field, he owned everything for the team. If they lost, he was the first guy to say we didn't play well enough. If they won, he was the first guy to give credit to the players that made it happen. So it was quite a shock when he was traded in more ways than one, because he wasn't consulted about it either. When he moved on to Chicago, it didn't make sense. The team suffered for it after the fact as well. There can be said that Dax had issues with managers in the past. He did have his run-ins with both Marsch and Petke, because he was just a fiery guy, and that was always something that everybody loved about him, and something that I think still to this day makes him one of the most reliable players in MLS.
Where would you put him historically, if we're looking at sort of Red Bull captains? Where would you put him on the list in terms of best to worst?
So if I'm taking it, if I'm saying Red Bull era, because Red Bull era is something very different from the Metro Stars era. He would probably be third on that list to me. I think I would put I want to put Luis Robles ahead of him, because Luis Robles is such a fantastic story. Coming from like the German second division, getting his realtor license, thinking he wasn't going to be able to.
Another great podcast story I've heard as well. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. And then, making one of the greatest MLS runs ever for a goalkeeper. So I put him ahead, and I would put, I believe Juan Pablo Angel was captain for a while as well. And I would put him above as well. So I think he would fall into that third range. I don't think we ever saw his full potential as a captain. I don't think we saw Sacha Kljestan either. So that is an issue. But, again, he got a lot of time, and there are people that remember him quite fondly in the fan base.
I always remember. I think it was after we beat DC in our Merced Cup in 2015. He did that speech. And I always remember it. He spoke like a true captain, like, give us 2 more games. That sort of stuff. He's just such a great captain. Now, obviously, I made no secret of the fact how much I like Dax McCarthy. Like, he is my favourite player to ever play football. Like, I don't get many MLS, I mean, ever. Like, I was gutted when we got rid of him. I was devastated. I understood why in a way. I think it eventually paved the way for the add-ins, but I felt you could have done it a year later. I think you would have got another year out of him. The way it was done let a bit of a sour taste. I think what killed, not only me, I never saw him play in the first place, but a lot of people with no closure really. Like we never had that final goodbye.
Yeah.
Like when a lot of players when a lot of players are going to leave in the summer. Like when I came to Red Bulls in 2019, it was playing the home game of the season. And it was Robles and BWP's last game. I knew that was going to be their last game, pretty much. And a lot of people did. Because of that, you had that closure. But because of Jack McCarthy trade, Sarah Blue, no one had that closure. Didn't have that goodbye. And let's be honest, he is a legend for the Red Bulls. He's a legend in his own right. I think you lack that goodbye and thank you. Here's what I think, but
Yeah,
Anthony, do you reckon he would get into this team now? Out of interest.
Probably not, because I think that there's a high premium put on the energy level that I don't think he has ever really had. He's a relatively stationary. He's not a box to box midfielder. He's not going to run up and down the field, and I think that that's what this team wants a lot of. So I don't think he would make the team. Do I think that he would make the team better if they played a different style? Absolutely. I think that he would be such a great leader for some of these young players, and also be able to feed Fabio some fantastic passes from way back in the defensive end.
Interesting. I think what I like from Cuddy so much is even out for his let, there's no secret he lets some bad terms. He still doesn't slag a team off. Like a lot of players, like other people, not players, I'll mention no names, but I'm sure both of you know who I'm talking about. No longer in the same job, and every single week when something happens, when we lose or something, a tweet goes up about how we're the biggest failure and the fans don't deserve it, blah, blah, blah. Jack McCarthy, I've never once said that about the team. Even in 2018, we won the Shield. You got to remember,
sounds like you're talking about Gary Neville.
Neville.
We have a Gary Neville over here. His name is Taylor Twellman.
Oh, I wasn't on about him actually. I wasn't actually on about him. I was on about. Do you want me to say his name, or do you not know who I'm talking about? Scott knows who I'm talking about. I'm guessing.
No. Who are you talking about?
Okay, make sure you edit this bit out, Ronnie. No, I'll pause it now. Right, we're back, but now another break. So yeah, like Jack McCarthy never ever moaned about the team. Never ever really moaned when he got traded either. It was really congratulations when he won the Shield, and he's just a top player, I think. And I still think one day he'll be back in a coaching role. I hope he will anyway. I still think that's possibly could happen in the future, because I think in MLS a lot of players do come coach. You look at you think like Peter Vermes, a lot of the old original MLSers are now managers in the league.
They're some of the best. They're some of the best managers in the league. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Greg Vanny. Yeah.
Are we including DC manager?
No.
Are we
Ben Olsen.
Benny. Yeah. Benny.
Are we including him on the list as the best MLS managers? Or
he's had work.
He's stayed at DC on a long time.
Yeah, Frank Yallop is another one.
Frank Yallop is a legend. He's actually Ipswich Town legend as well. Like,
is he?
Yeah. He's the one who recommended that. We're now owned by Phoenix Rising. We're owned by Phoenix Rising, and he's the one who recommended to buy Ipswich. So he's legend here. We was before, but he's even bigger now. So yeah. Like he's huge.
There's lots of MLS players that have taken up that role, especially even for Red Bull. I mean, there was Mike Petke obviously was the most beloved before he kind of blew a gasket. But I think at some point we're going to see more of that.
When Mike Petke left, it wasn't much of a fat slow, was there? When he got sacked, I think Mike Red Bull's took it on the chin.
There was a lot. Yeah. And I don't think they were wrong in letting him go with the direction they wanted.
But it was, let's be honest, it was handled
poorly.
Horrifically. It was handled horrifically.
Yes.
But long term.
I see a running theme here.
Yeah.
Well, Red Bull handle things, and this is, this is just true of Red Bull across the board. We've seen it on all of their teams. They handle things in a very corporate manner, and it's very cold, and it's very it comes across as very uncaring. We see it how, I mean, just look at what happened with Julian Nagelsmann in Leipzig and how he moved to Bayern Munich and how much money they demanded for him. Everything is very by the book, very corporate, and it flies in the face of a lot of what we think about when we talk about football and the emotion that comes across for it. And Dax McCarty's exit, Mike Petke's exit, even not re-signing Bradley Wright Phillips and Luis Robles came for just one more year so the fans can see them off, was odd in how that was handled. But that's the way they roll. That's how they do this.
Like, yeah, I think obviously even long term, there was tenant to Vitis to get rid of Peck and get Merced. It's definitely a big what if say Ali Curtis didn't get Martian and kept Peque, he probably would have lost his job because the manager, Mark Peque, would not come to Red Bull and said, actually, I want him gone. I want my mate as my boss. And would Jesse March be managing the Arctic next season? Oh, I'm close to say probably not, because he wouldn't have his reweight for badges. So it's a big what if, but long term it's worked. But what it is, really, isn't it?
Yeah, they do need an MLS Cup out of this though at some point, and that's going to be the main thing. We don't care about supporter shields here. I shouldn't say that. Some supporters do care about it.
I love a supporter shield.
But in American sports, yes, we hang banners for being conference champions and being the best team in the league. That's all fine and good. At the end of the day, the cup is what matters. Lifting that trophy at the end of the year is what matters above everything else. And until that happens, every year just feels and looks like a failure.
Yeah. Talking about failures, this is a nice little link to the next section. Red Bull 2 had a very, very interesting game against Hartford the other night.
Interesting, putting it a lot very kindly, Scott.
Yeah, I'm trying to be very nice here. Finishing obviously 7-0 against Red Bull 2.
What's ironic part by that? Sorry to bite a pin. It was actually the day. It was National Donut Day, and it was the day Red Bulls put out a tweet remembering the 7-0 victory. It was zeros and donut, and that's the definition of saying that's so metro.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I think the big talking point there was the fact that several first team players were selected in the lineup, including Andres Reyes and Drew Yearwood. What do you make of it and Red Bull 2 season so far, Anthony?
So Red Bull 2 season right now is nearing a downward spiral. It's I wouldn't say it's not quite there yet, but if they don't win the game tonight, not draw, they have to win the game tonight, that it will be in a tailspin. What made that game so incredibly unbelievable was how many first team players were on that team that could not even score a single goal. You're talking about Omir Fernandez, Tom Barlow, Drew Yearwood, Cameron Harper, fantastic players that should have been able to make something happen against a second division club. In the past, this used to work for Red Bull too. They would throw a lot of players down for a game that didn't have any minutes, and they would be able to play through and get something out of these games. The problem is the USL Championship is now a Division 2 league. It's not a Division 3 league anymore. The teams have invested a lot more money. There are more independent clubs, and you're not playing so many two teams any longer. And they ran into that wall hard in this game. But I will say that it did not go unnoticed, right? When I was on the media call earlier, I asked Gerhard Struber about that game, and he said that they did take notice of it. And they don't first off, Gerhard Struber does not like to lose, period. That's one thing we've taken. He doesn't like to lose games. So he did say that they did take notice of it, and that they did notice the level of play from some of these players. So I think there will be some repercussions to some of them. I don't think that, I think they're all going to remain where they are. I don't think Tom Barlow is going to get selected any more or less than he was earlier. but it is another notch on the assessment of Andres Reyes and Drew Yearwood in particular.
So I'm just looking at the standings, and this shows how bad they've been. So currently 7th in the Eastern Conference Atlantic, to the 4th. I didn't know this today. Don't watch a lot because it's hard to get in our country. We've got 4 continents in US Championship. I didn't even know about. The 7th so far, not bottom, but
that's all new this year, by the way. It
Okay.
used to be two tables, like the East and the West would be one solid table of like 20 teams, and now it's like 16 teams, but like it's split into 8 conferences. That was due to COVID, so I don't know if they're going to remain this way, but they may end up recombining them at some point.
Yeah. Okay. So they currently won 1 game. That was the game. Wasn't it a 3-2 win? If I'm right, Anthony.
Yes, it was a no. It was a 1. Yes, it was a 3-2 win. 2-1 over Loudoun United.
2-1. That's it. Yeah. But 2. They got drawn 2 or tied 2, as you call it. There. Lost 7. No, lost 5. Sorry, 7 goals. Only 7 goals for. 19 against, minus 12 goal difference, 5 points. And Charleston and Battery, who are playing tonight, are 6th ahead of them. They've played 4 games. We've played 8.
Yeah.
Some of these teams have only played 4 or 5 games.
Yeah,
they could be rock bottom.
They're actually playing Charlotte Independence tonight.
They're playing. Charleston game got delayed.
Yeah, that one got which is even worse because Charlotte is very good this season, and they just got through beating both Hartford Athletic and Tampa Bay Rowdies. Tampa Bay Rowdies were undefeated before running up against Charlotte, so this is not good.
It could be another long night for you, man, Anthony.
It could be a very long night. The other issue defensively, you talked about how many goals have been conceded by this team. They're going with a center back pairing that includes Mandela Egbo as a center back. He was known for the team to be a wing back. So now he's been transitioned into playing the center back role. He's done as good as can be asked, but this team they go through spurts of a game where like everything just falls apart, like whether it be set pieces or just bad decision making. I remember Anthony Marcucci, the goalkeeper, has made some really bad decisions in the back. He's also made some fantastic saves, but there's large windows of the game where they play very poorly and they suffer for it. And then there's portions of the game where they play really well, but have not been able to find the goal scoring, whether it be from Omar Sow or anyone else on the team. It's just not there.
From what I've watched highlights and sort of keeping track, Jake LaClava seems to have had a decent season so far. What's he like?
He's very good. They played him in various roles, as a striker or as a winger, cutting in. I think it's not necessarily a false 9, but he'll cut in a lot from the wing, specifically on the left, and really kind of disrupt other teams. He's probably him and Omar Sow are the brightest spots on the team right now. Anthony Raffanello as well has played very well, but LaCava has been probably the biggest goal scoring threat thus far this season. Good first touch. Really, really hopeful that he'll be part of the first team probably by next season.
At least that's a good sign.
Yeah, he came from the Arizona Barcelona Academy. So Barcelona has satellite campuses, academies across the world, and he came from the Arizona portion of that.
Well, that's exciting.
At least that's one bright spot. It's going to be a disappointing season. I'm going to ask the question. We have mentioned this before, and I think we both agree it will take something extraordinary. But John Molinak, not doing great this season. Do you think his job could be in jeopardy if they continue this way?
It depends on what Thelwell wants out of this team. In the past, what it was a proving ground for young players to get to the MLS level. The issue now is I don't know if Thelwell is looking in as much as he used to. If the whole plan is we're going to redo the academy structure and deal with deal with the first team by reaching out and buying players more so than grooming them from within, then I think that Wolnick is going to be fine, because Wolnick is very, very, very good with young players. and really good at bringing them along. So many, you can talk to any first team player, they will glow over how John Walnick has helped their career. I think the real question is, does John Walnick want to keep doing this job when he can get a position with an independent club somewhere else in the USL, or maybe an assistant position on an MLS team? Right behind him is a guy who feels like he could be that coach as well, Ibrahim Sagaya. I believe even Ibrahim Sagaya has been sitting on the first team bench as an assistant coach as well. So it really depends on him. I don't think that they push him out for any reason other than John cares about results on this first team. I don't know if Thelwell does at the moment. There's also the prospect of what happens to this team in the next few years. A new reserve league has started for MLS called MLS Next, with a big turquoise X on it. And if the team plans on moving to that league, I think that John will stay on for that unless he feels he can get a job somewhere else.
Yeah. Good. Before we go into our next subject, Trucker New gets in. Sergio Ramos is leaving Real Madrid. It's been announced.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah. It's been announced.
Wow.
So that's a big thing. We're bringing to you live. Admittedly, by the time it comes out, you already know for about 3 or 4 days, but still, it's live as we talk to you.
It shocked us at the time.
Good at the time.
It shocks me. I'm a very big Real Madrid fan, so I can't I saw him play last Easter and live at the Bernabeu, so that's going to be interesting to see where he goes. Hopefully not to Pep Guardiola.
Maybe not. But it's time to move on to our big one. You're going to take risk, Scott?
Yeah, obviously the other day it sort of came about that the Twitter page and RBNYUK as a whole was officially sort of 5 years old. Obviously, it's taken a lot of forms over the past 6 months now, where we've expanded obviously to the website, the podcast, YouTube, and now we've added another sort of string to our bow, and we've finally opened the store. We've had some good ideas over the past couple of weeks, and we really wanted to sort of throw that out there. Luke?
Yeah, so as you can see, we've got now got merch out. You've got quite a few things on our store. These are a few of our main ones, I would say. You got this is definitely Scott's favourite. Identity is Scott's favourite, isn't it, Scott?
Yeah, no, just an idea that I had. Obviously,
yeah.
Struber likes to use that word quite a lot, and it sort of sticks with the Red Bull ideals. So I thought it'd make a cool sticker. I'm looking forward to getting mine and sticking them around Wolverhampton.
Yeah. You also got it on the mag, and you might have heard of Billy the Kid, but forget about Billy the Kid. It's about Caden the Kid. Caden the Kid. You can get this on our website. You can go to our website, RBNYUK.com, and you click shop on our website and take you to it. Or you can go to RBNYUK.creatorspring.com. You can use the code RBNYUK5YRS for 10% off to celebrate our 5th birthday, and this is open.
Well, we know that Anthony's already ordered absolutely everything in bulk, so thank you, Anthony, for ordering everything on there.
I have a box of identity mugs coming my way.
Fantastic.
As you can see on here, Mark Fitzgibbon loves it.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Scott, am I right to say what I'm right to say, Scott?
Yeah, what are you going to say?
Scott, when we did our live to announce it, Mark is on there, and Scott is probably his biggest fan. Scott loves seeing it.
Okay, calm that down a bit. Right, I have obviously been over in the UK. Red Bull Media is something that we don't get as often and as frequently and as easily over here as we do in the US. And seeing Red has been a source of it's been my biggest source of being able to listen and learn and be part of the community. So it's always nice to see somebody like Mark praising up
it's great.
Our stuff.
I just
Mark is the OG. He was doing this before him and Dave Martinez were the ones doing this the longest and the first. Ivis Galersep as well. Like there's some of those names. Mark is one of those OG guys. He is one of the best sources to go to for anything Red Bull.
I just say before, just thank you from all of us here. Like, at the end of the day, we are just 3 guys from the UK. Like, we can't talk to anyone about this because no one cares. Like, you go to your friend down the road, go, do you see the Red Bull match? You go, what? I don't give a shit. We've got this now. We love being part of its little community. We love talking to people. And this has been one of the best MLS seasons I've ever watched. Just because of this, because I've got to know so many people. I've got to speak about that network so much. I've loved being part of that. And we just want to say thank you very much, really.
No, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, I think we're about done. Anthony does a great deal for us. We are unbelievably indebted to what he's putting out onto our website at the minute. Match recaps for both the first team and the twos. We get emails and messages weekly in regards to press conferences. It's unbelievable. We really are appreciative of everything that you've done so far, and to have this source of knowledge is massive for us, not just as part of the RBNY UK, but as fans who just absolutely love Red Bull and want to know and be involved as much as we can. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm always welcome. I'm always open to coming on whenever you guys want. Thank you so much again for your hospitality.
It's been great having you. It's been amazing having you, hasn't it, Scott? It's been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, this. I've loved this. I'm really looking forward to listening to it back.
Yeah, it's been great.
But yeah, Luke, do you want to sign us out?
Yeah, so that's about it for another week of the podcast. We might do a preview this week for an actual game, maybe. If we have time. It's quite busy time at the moment for that. We've got time into that. If not, we'll see you for our review of an actual game. If we win, definitely. We'll definitely do one. If we lose, if we have time, then we'll be back for our next podcast, which will be 2 weeks' time. So it would be, I think it's for the New England game. No, it's 24th of June. Won't be there. I'm away that week. So we'll be back for a podcast in 2 weeks. Check out our content on RBNYUK.com. We'll be 2 new articles this week. We've got the original RBNY legend, John Andrew Pablo. No, I said that back to France.
Juan Pablo Angel.
Yeah, that one. The original RBNY, Jamie's done excellent things about him. And then we've also got a Nashville opposition report from Nashville UK. Check that out on our website at RBNYUK.com. You can check out Anthony's stuff at redbullnetwork.com. Am I correct?
Right, yeah. redbullnewsnetwork.com. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can also follow him on Twitter at RB
News Network.
Yeah, well, you can follow him on Twitter. Follow Scott. Scott Christopher Hunt, please. Am I correct?
No, Scott Hump 90, but I don't really use it very often anymore.
You can definitely follow me on Twitter. I need more followers. Luke Hume DTG. And follow, obviously.
And if you're like Anthony, you can go buy yourself another box of identity mugs.
Yes, go and buy. Go and get the word out to Chris Tuber, but there's a sticker with his face on it. Right.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you
Catch
guys
you
so
very
much.
soon.
Thank you.
Yep.
Right, pause.